intimacy with men. Hello, ladies, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Alex Cormont. I'm your French relationship expert. But today, I am not the expert because I bring with me Stacey Murphy. She's just an amazing coach. Hello, Stacey. How are you doing?
Hello, Alex. How are you? I'm doing
I'm
fabulous,
doing
by
good.
the way.
I'm doing good, thank you. And you know what? It's such a pleasure and an honor to have you on my YouTube channel because we talked last time and I know that you have a lot of knowledge. And these ladies from my community, they will love you. Can you just introduce yourself a little bit, give us a little bit of who you are before I ask you
Sure.
some couple of questions?
Oh, well, I would love to. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on and for us having this, what will be a juicy conversation,
Yeah,
I'm sure. And just to let people get a little bit familiar with who I am and what I do. Well, first of all, my business is the Vixen Academy, and I just have the great honor and distinction of working with, professional women from all over the world, right? To teach them how to feel strong, feminine, and seductive in the presence of men in both life and love. And primarily, this is so they can authentically step into their queen status. And this just allows them to attract as well as maintain a happy, juicy, joyful relationship with a high caliber man that will stand the test of time. Because many of these ladies, they want to go past the first date, right? Many of them want to
yeah.
get to forever, right? So what happens is this is a great topic for us to talk about because it is that important to be able to get to that forever place with a high caliber man. So that is
That's
what I do, and I have the great honor and joy of doing that.
Yes. So before to ask you some question about how to have great intimacy with a man, I would like to ask you first because I read your content and I was amazed by your knowledge. What is the philosophy of your coaching style? What is so important for
Right.
you in the coaching?
Well, one of the things that you probably heard it as well, Alex, but I hear this a lot from men. It's, with women, they were like, oh, they're so serious in relationships. And sometimes they feel it's like a job interview that they're going on. So, one of the things that I do that I like to do in my coaching and my teaching is returning the fun and the sassiness and the passion back into not only their life, but also their love life. Right. And so I always say to ladies, you're like a sensual artist and you're perfecting your craft. And your craft is your joy, your intimacy, your sensuality as a woman. And what you're doing is you're sharing that with your partner as a gift. Right. So I said it shouldn't be an obligation. It shouldn't be something you do on your check off on your to-do list. It is
Yeah.
something that brings joy and fun. And when you're having fun, he's having fun. Right. And then the two of you
That's
can have fun
true.
together.
That's true. You know, I always say that when intimacy is good in a relationship, there is no reason to break up. What
Yes.
do you think about that? And for you, what are the top reasons that relationship will fail? And why is it so important to know about it? I
Well,
think this is something important.
there's a lot of I'm glad you asked that question because a lot of people don't even realize, the top three reasons relationships fail. This is what either sends them to divorce court or Splitsville or whatever the case may be. And those top three reasons, the first one is incompatibility, right? Just not on the same page. And part of it is one, you have to know who you are as an individual going into the relationship. But then you need to understand about the other gender and the other sex as well, so that you can be reading from the same book and hopefully be on the same page, right? So that's like the first thing. Now, the second reason relationships fail is sex, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Sex and intimacy and all that. And then the third is money. So those are the top three reasons. And so when you look at intimacy and sex, they're actually two different things. They're not the same thing. So with intimacy, that really involves the emotions, right? Your mind and your emotions really come and play very playfully in your interactions with your partner. And sex is, well, in my world anyway, that's the physical part, right? It's a
Okay.
sexual act. Now, what happens is many times with a lot of women, they like to clunk them together, right? They like to have them be one and the same. And with
Yeah.
most men, and like I always say, there are always exceptions to the rule. There's never
Sure.
like 100% this or that. But for most men, they can separate the two, right? Where sex is like a physical release for them to, get out their aggression or feelings or whatever, even stress, right? It also minimizes stress. But then intimacy is where you add the emotional part to it. You add your heart space to it. And you can be intimate with someone without having sex.
Is it possible to have some intimacy with every man? So can men be emotional? Is it? I think it's important.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And that is a misconception I think a lot of women have. Okay. They think, with men, oh, all they're worried about is all they want is sex. Whenever
Yeah.
we get together, all they want is sex. And that is not true. First of all, when I hear that, I feel like, one, you're cutting men short. Men are not, a lot of men are not that shallow. Some
Yeah.
are, right? Some are, but then women can be the same exact way. So it's not like a gender, oh, he does this, she's this way. It goes both ways. However, there are many men that are also looking for intimacy, but they look at it in slightly different way than women may look at it. So this is where that compatibility part comes together, of understanding what makes him tick, and then also understanding for yourself what buttons need to be pushed there that make you tick as well. And you teach each other, right? You teach each other, you expand with each other, you explore with each other. And all of that is intimacy right there.
Yes, and before to diving into the intimacy and how to be this juicy divine feminine power,
Mm-hmm.
I remember last time we talked about the four pillars of love and how they can just connect to have great
Yes.
intimacy. And I
Yes.
found like your knowledge so powerful. What could be these four pillars, and how can the ladies can implement this in their life in order to be happy with and have great intimacy with the men too?
Well, first of all, I want you to think of the four pillars of love. And this is kind of a philosophy that I had created. I want you to think of the four pillars of love like four legs of a chair, right? Like
Yeah.
the chair I'm sitting on right now, like the chair I'm sitting on right now. So I want everybody to kind of think of the four pillars of love in that way, okay? And those four pillars are mental, emotional, physical, and sexual, okay? Those are the four pillars. Now, typically, women feel really comfortable with the mental and emotional part, right? And with their estrogen, they can do backstrokes. And, especially as women can do backstrokes in their emotions, because a lot of that is driven by estrogen, right? Our
Yeah.
biology of what makes us women. Now, the other two pillars, which are physical and sexual, tend to be a man's strong point, right? Because with men, it's the testosterone, and that's what makes
Yeah.
men, right? And testosterone is responsible for sex drive. It's responsible for, that juiciness and that passion and being a little bit predatorial. So what happened is those are the four pillars of love. Now, everyone is sat on a wonky chair, right? Or at a wonky table. And what happens is when you sit on the chair, it can still maintain you. You just got to stick something underneath it so it can balance out. The four pillars of love work exactly the same way. They don't have to be in balance all the time, but one of those pillars can't be broken. Because what happens if you try to sit on a chair and one of the legs is broken? It will not sustain you. You'll sit on it and you'll fall right off. You'll fall right off.
Immediately.
Right. It can't sustain you. And that is also how the four pillars of love works. So if your sexual pillar is broken, that relationship will not be able to maintain that for a long period of time. Just like with men, if the emotional pillar is broken, same thing.
So does it mean again also that if we want to have great intimacy with men, we need to have the emotional connection and the mental connection and the physical connection? Does it mean that
Yes,
if we want to have great intimacy, it's not just sex and boom, boom, it's also like the
exactly.
emotion and everything that is around? Oh, that's very important, because most of the
Yes.
time when we think great intimacy, we want some techniques right now and we don't think about the overall situation.
Yes, and here's what I call it. It's like having that complete package, right?
Mhm.
Is having that overall essence of doing things. Because what happens is intimacy is the feeling state. It's the being state. And intimacy, ladies, is also where your seduction as a woman also resides at the same time. And that's when you're strongest in your divine feminine, because it allows a man to be in his divine masculine. And then together you can have a juicy time, because that is what men are looking for. They're looking for women to be in their divine feminine because they want to be in a relationship with a woman, not with another dude, and things of that nature. Like when women are in their masculine energy, it feels like, oh, girl, like, whoo, it's like I'm in a relationship with another man, and they want you as a woman is what they want.
So what will be the solution for all the women that will listen to this video?
Mm-hmm.
How can they rock their most juicy, divine, feminine energy? What can you do now to very feel empowered and make
Mm-hmm.
sure that they will have great intimacy with men, but also great self-confidence? What kind
Yes.
of tips or advice can you share with us, please?
Well, the first thing I would share is really assessing within yourself, where is your masculine and feminine energy lying within you? Okay. Because what happened is you are the first cause to your experience. Where say wherever you go, there you are, right? So what happens is first, it's where is that balance within yourself, ladies? And so if you recognize that you have strong masculine energy, the first thing to do here would be, okay, why is that masculine energy really showing up? It really helps a lot of women in the workplace, because they have to be leaders, they have a team, they have all this other stuff. But what happens is what may help you at work may not necessarily help you in your romantic and love life. And so
Good.
you got to kind of switch that a little bit and
Yeah.
turn some of that off. Or what I would say with the ladies is your feminine energy and your seductiveness is like a dimmer switch. It's not like a light switch, like on and off. It's more like a
Mhm.
dimmer switch where it's always on. So the first thing is being in your feminine energy. So some ladies go, well, what exactly is that? How can I even recognize that? So I'm going to give you a
Yep.
couple of things here so you can kind of like do a little quick assessment to determine where your feminine energy is at. So first of all, feminine energy is gentle power. It feels very fluid and very open, welcoming, and it's a being state, not a doing state. A doing state is masculine energy. A being state is feminine energy, which allows you to receive love, receive affection, receive intimacy. So if you're not in that receiving state, you're not going to be able to receive those really juicy things that you want to experience, okay? The other thing about feminine energy, like I said, it's very fluid, right? So think of it
Yeah.
very fluid like, but feminine energy is also seductive, right? And so let me kind of
Mhm.
define what seduction is,
Yeah,
because
I
in
love to know
our,
the definition.
yes, because in our society, especially in, I would say in American society, seduction has gotten a really bad rap, but it's a natural feminine trait. Now, I believe in France, they have a different perspective.
Yes,
um,
I
they have
was
a different
surprised
perspective
of
of
this.
that.
I remember when I first started doing videos, I was using the word seduction because for us, it means flirt, it means courtship, it's a good word
Yes.
in French. And my editor told me, Alex, you cannot use this word anymore. I was like, why? I didn't understand. So I still use it, but I want to know your definition because what you say is very, very important.
Yeah, and that was something I'm going to tell on myself right now, because I was a card carrying member of the Masculine Energy Club as a woman, right? I was born and raised in New York City, and I even had a three-piece pinstripe suit with a white top, and I had a yellow tie, and I had my Oxford shoes as I was going to my corporate job in marketing in New York City. So that's how much I was in my masculine energy, right? Because I totally know what that's all about. But what happened is it was killing my relationships. It was just not working. And then when I learned what the true essence of seduction was as a feminine strength, I totally did a 180. So here's the feminine power definition of seduction. Seduction is having the keen ability to entice someone to do something that they want to do anyway, because you create a safe place for them to come out and play with you. And in this safety, they can be authentic with you. They can be genuine with you. They take off their mask that they show the outside world, but they will show you their genuineness. That is what true seduction is. It's a win-win situation because they feel good and you feel good. That's what true seduction is. Now, manipulation, which is what in the West we've gotten brainwashed to think that seduction is. Manipulation is enticing someone to do something that they don't want to do, but you want them to do. So it's like it's a win-lose situation. You feel good because you're getting your way, but the other person does not feel good. That is not seduction. That is not seduction at all. So this is why I want, ladies, I want you to start to embrace this new empowering definition of seduction because it is a feminine strength. Now, in corporate, this is what it's called. It's called the art of wooing. So if any of you have ever taken like strength finders or any of those assessments, it's called wooing. That is also using your seductive energy right there as well. So that's how it shows up in that arena. So play with that because it's a lot more fun when you kind of jump into the sandbox with that.
That's amazing. I love your advice. I love your energy. And, you know, I feel that you have this power to just empower a lot of women to be more seductive, to be more themselves, to be more playful.
Yes.
My question is a little bit tricky now.
Okay.
How do you keep, I will use one of your words, how do you keep the humanness alive in the relationship when it's a long-term relationship? How can you keep this great intimacy? Because we can do it during 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and after we just want to be like in the basic. How can we be playful?
Well, first of all, I would say this may be a surprise, this first statement that I'm saying, but the first thing is understanding your own pattern. Okay. And let me explain by that. Okay. I'm going to explain by using myself as an example. I know within myself that I start to get a little bit bored in relationships after a certain period of time. So that's the first thing. It's like when you know what your pattern is, then you can actually circumvent it before it happens, right? So it requires some self-awareness is the first thing. Then the other thing is if you know your pattern, it's being able to also communicate that effectively to your partner, right? So that's why I teach effective intimacy communication and all of my trainings because we need to learn because we're not taught how to communicate effectively to each other. So this is about learning to communicate effectively your needs, your wants, your desires, and even your frustrations, but still remain empowered for yourself and the other person. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you have to continue to date your partner. Dating is not just for the beginning of the relationship. Dating is for the beginning, the middle, and all the way clear to the very end. You have to continue to date your partner, which also requires for you to continue to explore new things together. That is the real key, is you have to continue to explore new things together. So I usually tell my clients and my students, I call it a little fishbowl, romantic fishbowl kind of thing, where you literally take a little fishbowl and when each of you are relaxed, get like little pieces of paper that can sit by the fishbowl. And you can have pink for the ladies. You can have blue for the guys if you want to color code them. And I usually have them do that so that it can be evenly distributed between ideas. And then have each partner just randomly write down a little idea of something fun that they would like to do. It could be romantically, it could be intimate. Like for example, you can say on one of the things, hey, let's go to an adult intimacy store together and let's go see what we can find, right? And you can do something fun like that together. You can, and another partner may say, hey, let's go on a scavenger hunt. Let's do something like that together. And then you have fun exploring all those different things. So here is an example of one of the scavenger hunts I helped one of my clients put together. So the scavenger hunt was actually in their house. You don't have to do this outside. If you want to, you can, but this one was actually in their house. And they hid all around the house these little gifts and these sassy little things around the house. So what happened was, the female partner, she went and she bought like these fishnet stockings And then she bought this little cutesy little lingerie outfit. And she got this other little thing. But what happened was she stuck the stockings in one area. She stuck the lingerie in one area. She stuck this in another area for him to find, not her, for him to find. And then, of course, they left notes around the house, which was a clue of where to get the next thing. Yeah. So then when he found one note and he went to the one area, then he pulled out, oh, stockings, right? And he was like, okay. Then he went to the next area and he's like, oh, lawn. And then what happened, he's like, ooh, and then he got excited because he knew she was then going to model it for him. Wow. In that evening. So what happened was she had a ton of lingerie already and all this other stuff, but that wasn't the point. The point was the fun activity and the way they were going about doing it. And they had been together for like 15 years or something like that. They were together for a very long time, but those are examples. It's about making it fun and making it entertaining. And I always say to ladies, keep a level of mystery to yourself. That's also an element of seduction, is having a level of mystery, right? Because you want to give your partner still something to learn about you, something to still explore about you, and vice versa. And then be open to trying new things, right? Always be open to trying new things and stuff like that. And I even tell people, okay, if you've never had sex in the woods, do that. Because that's a new thing, right? So it's whatever that is. And here's the other thing. Whatever that works for you and your partner. You don't have to advertise your love life on Facebook, right? As long as two consenting adults are partaking in a particular, what I say, rendezvous or escapade or adventure, that's all that matters, is what the two of you are doing. And if it makes the two of you happy and what you do in the privacy of your home, and it's okay and stuff like that. So that is a really big thing about keeping the intimacy alive long term. Maintain it, always keep it a journey, always keep it adventurous, because that is what's important. It's the journey in relationship, not necessarily what the end destination is, but are you stopping along the way to smell the roses and to enjoy?
I just love your content, your advice, and it gives me a lot of ideas for my next videos, but also for my personal life. You know, we can all improve, and this is what I love. It's just not sex. Intimacy, it's way more bigger than this. It's the big pictures that makes your relationship fun. And I can tell you, ladies, and maybe Stacey, you will be okay with me, when there is fun in a relationship, there is no breakup, there is no arguments. We are focusing on the positive. Yes. So we are just giving our best to the relationship. Our partner do the same, and then everything is fine. Stacey, I would like to ask you a question, because I know that you have a lot of content. You have some free gifts that I want my community, because I want everyone to come and to learn more about you. Can you talk a little bit about these free big gifts? Sorry. Okay. And I will also include the link just right below, because this is not finished. This is just the beginning. You have to go visit Stacey, because she has so much great content. Ladies, you will love it. You will love it.
And I love your enthusiasm as well. I love the partnership that's going on here. But yes, the free gift that I have for everyone is my Love Goddess quiz. So you can find out how you're projecting to men, right? Because you know what happens is, you know, if you don't know how you're projecting, you could be kind of like killing your chances at love before you even come out the gate, right? And so what happens is, it's a free gift, and when you take the quiz, it'll actually tell you how you're projecting to men and what you can do about that, right? And so you can stay into your sassy, juicy, and seductive feminine essence in an authentic and genuine way. Because ladies, many men, they feel confidence is sexy, right? Confidence, and that really turns men on, is confidence, because they're like, okay, I have chance here to be with a dynamic woman, and we can do some great fun and intimate and other things together as well. So that is like your first thing. So you can go ahead and take the quiz, and then after you take the quiz, I'll give you some tips and some insights of how you can keep that going on long term. And I would love for you to do that journey with me.
Yes, so I will include the link just right below. I want to say something, you know, I'm really enthusiastic, because By being a relationship expert, I know that sex is very important, but more than sex, intimacy is very important.
Yes.
If you don't do this, just one day you will fall into the routine and you will ask a breakup coach because you will lose your partner. So it's very
Mm-hmm.
important to prevent yourself. And what I love in your advice and in your mission is, I just feel that we have thought that sex was bad or sex is secret. We cannot talk
Yes.
about sex. Even for myself, it's not easy. I have to be honest. So when I found your content and I was like, no, okay, I need to bring Stacey on my YouTube channel because I have people from all over the world, from Asia, from Africa, from Europe, from US. And these ladies, they didn't receive any sexual education. This is not just about sex. This is about being happy in a relationship and having
Mm-hmm.
great intimacy because you deserve this orgasm or this pleasure. So this is why
Yeah,
I'm really
and
enthusiastic.
ladies, you're doing it for yourself as well. Because I can totally understand about the disconnect that is there, especially, even how I was raised with a very conservative religious background where, you don't talk about that, right? It was just like, no, you don't talk about that. And then it was like, and then sex and intimacy, that was just saved for marriage. You don't even, it was just saved for marriage. And you're like, okay, hopefully it's good when you get there and things of that nature. You're just crossing your fingers and all this other stuff. But what I realized was, especially after I was divorced, because yes, relationship coaches, they go through their own things. But when I got divorced many moons ago, and this is actually before I became a coach, it was one of the impetuses which set me there, was I was missing the fun and the passion and the intimacy in my relationship. And then the other thing that I learned is a lot of men bond with their partner through sex. They
Yeah.
bond with their partner, especially when the intimacy is there, they are coming from that heart space. And I really learned that when I studied Tantra, right? Which is part of my background and my certification, is when I studied Tantra about bringing it all together and understanding that that is how men bond and why sex is so important, why intimacy is so important in a relationship. Because, ladies, the biggest sex organ you have is right there,
Yeah.
is your brain. That is your biggest sex organ. That is where it turns everybody on, whether you're a man or or a woman, right? The brain is the biggest thing. So for a lot of women, you got to get out of your head with all, you got to get out of your head with what I call the itty bitty shitty committee, right? Which is guilt, shame, fear, and all of that stuff. You got to get that out of your head so that you can start planting in joy, start planting in fun, start planting in togetherness, start planting connection, because that is what intimacy is. And when you have that rocking in your relationships, it makes the sex amazing. Right? That's what makes it amazing. And that is what men want. And they want you ladies to have that as well. Because a man, when he knows his woman is enjoying being intimate and having sex with him, it just sends him to the moon, and he wants to please her that much more. So that's why
Exactly.
it's important.
That's why it's so important for you to click the link below, do this quiz, this free quiz, and you will be amazed. So also visit the website of Stacey. Do you want to talk a little bit about your website? I don't want to mess the name with my French
Sure.
accent. I want to make sure that everyone can get your content.
Like I said, even before we did the interview, I said to everyone, I said, Alex, you make my very Irish name sound so sexy with the accent and everything, everything else like that.
That's
So
true.
and see, this is how we have to play. It is okay, to do that because it's in lighthearted fun. But everyone can find me on the web at thevixenacademy.com. And again, it's the Vixen, VIXEN academy.com. And actually, Vixen, I created that into an acronym so the ladies can know. Vixen stands for a woman who's vivacious, she's intelligent, she's extraordinary in her own right, she feels empowered, but even more importantly, she knows when to be naughty as well as nice. And that is what a Vixen is.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Stacey, for your time. I really appreciate our
Thank
conversation.
you.
Ladies, if you like this video, just add a small like and just a thumb up, and also make sure that you leave a comment just right below, because we want to know your question. And I'm sure that we can do another video, Stacey, if you like being on my YouTube channel. We
I
can
would
do
love
that
to.
soon
I would
for
love
you
to.
ladies. Thank you so much. I will include the link in the description. Take care of yourself, ladies. You know how to have great intimacy, and you know how to have a great life. Stacey, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Alex. This has been wonderful. Thank you, everybody.